Hey y'all, what's going on? This is your man Severe Link, and welcome to another live episode of Daddy's Right Here Live. I am your host, as always, Severe Alim. Had some technical difficulties this morning. Had to switch browsers a couple of times because the camera and the microphone were not giving access to the platform. See, that's what happens when they're going to replace us with this technology, man. And we need to start, getting with your program and realizing that they're trying to push us out the door. But this stuff here, man, doesn't always work. It works when it wants to work. It does its own thing, and you never know who's at the other end. That's the other piece to it, man. There's so much going on, man. Everybody got their thumb on everybody's neck. Everybody's watching everybody to see who's talking about what, who's doing who, and all these other shenanigans go on. You never know who's listening. He kept giving me this message that something else must be operating the camera microphone, but I don't have anything on. But that's what they do, man. They keep wanting to blame it on China. Yeah, I'm with Trump on this one. It's probably some little Chinese man in the basement in New York somewhere. But anyway, uh, welcome to another live episode. You've been spending the last few minutes. If you've been on listening to Spot, which was my second album release. That it was the follow up to Poetic Peace Volume 1. Spot was Poetic Peace Volume 2. And then uh, you got You Want to Be Me that came behind that. So it'll be another one coming soon. Got a single I'm working up in my head. I want to do a remake. Since I've grown, and I'm still, hey, I got a long way to go, but I'm having fun. But since I've grown and I've listened to some of the older stuff from, when I first started out, I want to remix, a couple of tunes. A couple I want to slow down and a couple I want to speed up. So, I got the flavor in my mouth now, so I'm looking to get that fired up. And in a minute, yeah. I don't want to keep you guys hanging. Keep dropping stuff and keep dropping stuff and keep growing. That's how you grow. You got to stay in the mix, man. Last week we kind of wrapped up the show about, um, people often say, I am who I am the way I am, and, really not even understanding why, and even being able to truly see who you are, because it's all up in here. But if you step outside of yourself and you look at yourself, you can see your condition. Everybody sees it but you. People used to always tell me about the scowl that I kept on my face and how, I had one of my former employers tell me that I walked down the street like the world stinks. I had such a, this is that's how I walk down the street for real, for real. That's how I walk down the street. I had so many folds in my forehead. And listen, because of me moving myself away from that condition, I don't. The ones that I do have are from aging and not from frowning my face up. And it's a choice. It's a choice to stop feeling the way you're feeling. And last week, pretty much the show had ended on like, are you happy? What does happy look like? What is happy? Happiness. What is that? And it's like you can get some chocolate ice cream if you're a fan of chocolate ice cream. And you can sit on the chair on the porch and just rock your feet back and forth. You know how we do when we get something in us that we like, or we get in something that we like. You feel real good about it, and then after the episode, the event is over. It seems like depression creeps right in. The happiness is over, the euphoria has come down, and you're right back to the condition that you were before that episode happened, because that's what it is. It's an episode. Like right now, I'm having an episode. I had one before I got this coffee, and now I'm having an episode because I have my coffee, and now I'm sitting in the chair and I'm rocking, and I'm feeling pretty damn good right now because I have my coffee. What happens when you don't have your coffee? That's what you want to look at. Look at what happens inside of you when you don't have your coffee, and why. Why is coffee that controlling of your life that if you don't have it, you can't function? Oh, I in fact can function with it, but when I want it and I smell it, especially after I grind the beans and I smell it, percolating and stuff, you want it, right? Because that's the idea: is the senses start working together, and when the senses start working together, like you can be hungry and be sitting in your house with nothing on the stove and nothing in the oven, and you start smelling that which you desire. Come on, I'm not the only one. You start smelling French fries. You start smelling cheesesteak. You start smelling. You start. Hmm, I smell the Cajun chicken, and it's nothing cooking. That's how powerful the mind is, though. People don't want to look at and acknowledge how powerful the mind is. That it can manufacture additional pain. If you're one who is like taking medication, and you're supposed to take the medication every 4 to 6 hours for pain. Yeah, and you've taken it and it's working. And somewhere along the line, because it feels so good, the euphoria of that feeling when you first get that medication in you, when you first get that hit in you, it's like that euphoria. Yeah, and you want that over and over and over again. That's how substance misuse comes into play. That's why we have the opioid uh, 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 issues that we have in this world. We're just substance misuse because the mind is just that powerful that it can manufacture pain. It can tell you the pain is greater than it actually is. You can manage it any other time, but when you sit there and you're focusing on nothing, right? And it's usually when the mind gets idle that the brain begins to go to work and start sending these signals. And then, depending on what's happening in the mind at that time, whether it's idle or whether it's sitting on something that's on your spirit, right, will really depend on how much and how intense that becomes. And people don't realize that stuff becomes intense for a variety of reasons. And it has a lot to do with the spirit connected to the brain connected to the mind, all these things working together. So if you have an unstable spirit, if your conditioning is poor, or if your conditioning is at risk for harm because of something that continues to go unresolved within you, right? It's crazy. It's crazy, but we like to feel good all the time. And I say this all the time. The human being wants to feel good all the time. All the time. And our mind, right, tells us one thing, and it's based on information that's absorbed within our systems. You know, it really is. We pick and choose, for instance, partners. When we look at our partners, when we look at their physique, and we're making a selection based on their physique, right? This is just one example. And you make the decision based on their physique because you feel like that's the greatest turn on for you by looking at the body, because you have to be able to look at this body and be excited, because that's what excites you. That's what excites you. But if you were told to put your penis through this hole and let something rest on it, right? I'm not trying to be too graphic. Let something rest on it, and you begin to gyrate your hips and go in and out, and you start feeling good. It's no longer an image there because you're just feeling now. It's another sense. It's another sense, touch. So it's not a visual, it's a touch. Touch is making you feel good. And then when you go on the other side of the wall and you look at the person, and it's totally not what you desire or who you desire. But you felt good. You felt good. So what does that tell you about the mind? What does that tell you about your condition? What does that tell you about how you're living your life predicated on all these things that you want to see? But if you don't have the privilege of seeing, how do you make your decisions? So you have come into being who you are based on things you see more than anything. Because you see, you have the ability to see. But there's the inner vision that Stevie Wonder has always sang about. The inner vision. You don't have inner vision. And because you don't have inner vision, you can't assess yourself in the way that you need to. Because you have to do an inner assessment. You have to do an inner assessment. But if you're constantly doing things to make yourself feel good, whether it's by using drugs and alcohol or another person or games, these video games and things like that, if you're using all of those things and it's a constant usage of those things because you're escaping from your own reality, you'll never have that inner vision, because that's what you're escaping. It's living in an oblivious condition because you don't want to think about those things. You don't want to deal with those things that have happened in your life. So you find other things to replace it. And then when those other things aren't there, you're angry, you're frustrated, you're irritated, you're unhappy, right? We get into relationships and we think that that person is supposed to be the ultimate happiness for us, that this person is going to be what's going to keep us happy, going to make us happy. And then when that person doesn't do things that we find appealing, that is unappeasing of our needs, right? Our thirstiness, because that's actually what winds up happening in many relationships. You start acting thirsty. You're forgetting about what it is that you truly wanted. The other person's wants don't matter, and it's all confusing because now this person is growing or they're going, and you're staying in the same condition that you are. And you're angry at them because they won't appease your unhappiness. You can't make anybody happy. Nobody. You can't change nobody. People have to desire to change. It's a matter of getting the right information and using the information to improve your lifestyle. But what happens is people have to keep certain things in their lives to to make themselves happy. So every time they get paid, they have to go shopping. No, they have to. Stop saying they want to. Some people are so embedded. Their pain is so deep. Their avoidance is just is so pervasive of all their realities that they have to do these things in order to stay sane. So the closer I get to payday, the more my heart starts palpitating, right? Because I know that day is coming and I'm going to go shopping. And the unresolved within me is going to be pushed down again and I don't have to deal with it. So the euphoria of a new item, no matter what it is, whether it's a watch, whether it's a pair of shoes, whether it's a pair of slippers, whether it's another half gallon of chocolate ice cream, or whether it's another person, right? I need this so I can get through the next day. I can get through the next couple of weeks, you know, riding on that. And that's how people continue to avoid. Like in a bad relationship, when things aren't going right, you take that moment when it's going good and it kind of revitalizes the hope. It's false hope, but it revitalizes the hope. And once again, you say, well, you know what? Yeah, it's going to change now. It's going to be better. Knowing that it's not. The first time it happens, know that that's what it is. That's what it will always be. You will always get my bad. I'm sorry, it was just one of them days. You're going to always get that every time it happens, and you're going to continue to be miserable because you have an expectation. That's your happiness. Your happiness weighs on that person. And then as soon as that person doesn't do what it is that you want them to do, that you think they should do, your happiness gets altered because you don't have internal happiness. You can be dissatisfied with the thing. So you look up words. You can be dissatisfied with the thing. But if it brings unhappiness to you, that's something totally different. We're not going to always be satisfied with what our partners bring to the table. No, we're not. We're not going to always be happy about their decisions. But we learn to compromise, and we learn that somewhere along the line, you have to let that person make that decision. You have to be okay with that. But when it comes to happiness, your happiness shouldn't weigh on anything such as that. Nothing. But it does. It does. So because so many of us don't have internal happiness, we make everybody around us miserable who doesn't appeal to or appease our thirstiness, right? Because you begin to act thirsty. You start acting out because it's not going your way. So a lot of immaturity happens in situations where it doesn't need to be. And a lot of good relationships fail as a result of that. No, I'm not crying. And if I was, I wouldn't tell you. So today, the title of this show says "Change, Not in Your Pocket." Right, and oftentimes you will hear a lot of times, people would say things like, "Hey, if it doesn't apply, let it fly. Take the information and just put it in your pocket and use it later." Well, we have too many damn people walking around with change in their pocket. Too many people walking around with change in their pocket because you didn't want it in the beginning. You weren't ready for it. That's why you put it in your pocket. But when you put it in your pocket because you didn't intend on using it anyway, you were putting other things in there, stuff it further down into your pocket. And the more things you begin to stuff in your pocket because you don't want to face that reality, you don't want to take that information and use it, you get that little hole in the corner of your pocket and things begin to seep out, right? So the first thing that starts falling out of your pocket is what? When you get the hole in your pocket? Change. Change. Your change starts falling out your pocket first. The larger items are usually the ones to go last, right? But the change, the smaller coins, the dimes, the pennies, your 2 cents. So that's the first thing that falls out of your pocket. So stop using that because that's an excuse to put off what you need to do today. That's all it is. But you're not ready for that. So because you're not ready for that, right, you're gonna keep putting it in your pocket. It's like I always tell clinical staff, like, many of us took and sold all of our books back after we completed our collegiate studies. And we want to try to retain, you know, within the confines of our little minds, everything that we've ever learned. So you spend 2, 4, 6 years in college and you think that you remember all that stuff in detail. Oh, I remember most of the stuff, but there's a lot more to just one paragraph than that which you retain. It's just one word in that paragraph that you may have not retained to memory. And that one word can change the whole dynamic of the clinical approach to saving somebody's life. Listen. I've been doing this for so long. It's just I'm saturated with information, and I continue to saturate myself with information. But back to the change falling out your pocket, right? So now the change is falling out your pocket. Now the times when you really need it, because maybe it did cross your mind, maybe you did have a fleeting glimpse of what we once discussed. It's not there for you anymore. So you start looking elsewhere for it. You start looking towards your partner for that information, for that you fell out your pocket. And I'm a 30-year seasoned clinician, but I am not my significant other's counselor. I will not be trying to give her therapy. I will not do that. And many, I can tell you many who are in my position are looked towards for that. And then when you do it, they get pissed off at you. Like, oh, you ain't my counselor. I wasn't trying to be your counselor, you know, but you asked. And that doesn't have, there's a line. I have to separate my role as a clinician, right, within my family. It's a different responsibility as the leader, as the king. There's a different role. It doesn't remove my abilities, my skills, because I have to use those skills for me to continue to grow. So the skills still being used. But never take that role if you're a clinician with your significant other as trying to counsel them. You will burn your damn self out. And then it's not a role that you want because you have certain sets of expectations when you start doing that. But you don't no, don't do it. Don't. Um, but you have to begin to look at why you didn't use the information because that's where the problem resolution has to begin. Why didn't you take the information? Why don't you want to listen to others? What is about others' perspectives, if they're not in alignment with yours, that it makes you reject, resist the idea that somebody can give you information that can help change your life? That's where you start because there's a reason why, right? We know we form perceptions of people and like, okay, well, come on. Like I had somebody years back, uh, brother, who I love dearly. His wife, his wife asked him to ask me if I was divorced, if I had at the time 3 failed marriages, what makes me an expert on relationships as far as you know change and Well, first of all, let's look at this fact. Uh, I have no malice towards any of them, nor they towards I. Uh, Sometimes two good people can get together and things don't work. Nobody looked at the fact that out of the at that time it was like 4, 5 relationships that I married 3 of them. There was a reason why the other two I didn't marry the other two. But out of 5 serious relationships, I married 3 of them because of me and my value of marriage, knowing the significance it is to me. Right? If you're not learning, right, you're going to stay in the same condition. You have to learn what went wrong in these areas. What did you do wrong? What did they do wrong? Divorce doesn't mean that anybody did anything wrong. Sometimes things just don't work. It's no different than going to the store, buying a shirt that's packaged. Come home and try it on. It don't lay on you right. It don't feel right on you. It just don't fit what you had in your mind about it. And people say, well, a shirt and a human being are totally different. The analogy is correct. You ain't feeling it personally. We are each other's garments. My wife is my garment. I have to care for my that garment, like it's a fine garment. You don't take chiffon silk and put it in the washing machine. You understand what I'm saying? So don't tell me my analogy is incorrect because my teachings tell me otherwise. And it's written as such. It's written as such. So see, that's where a lot of conflict comes in because you going it off of your own mind. You going off your own circumstance and what your surroundings have fed you. It's written as such in the Quran. So I treat people, my wife, as a fine garment, as a fine fabric. I wear her on me, and she should do likewise. You understand? So sometimes things just don't work. It don't work for you. It looked good, it tasted good, it felt good. But along the way, it was some necessary things, some necessary adjustments that had to be made, and everybody's not willing to make those adjustments. When you've been single for a long period of time and you connect with somebody who's not been single, I've been a husband since I was 24. I'm 63. So I don't know how to be anything other than. So when you have a person who has been single for a period of time, right, who's been conditioned to single-mindedness, right, it is a difficult transition. Everybody can't make that transition, and everybody's not willing to make that transition. Marriage, right? The expectation of marriage is submission. We have to submit to one another. But if you can't submit, it's time to quit. And I ain't trying to rhyme, but I heard it in my mind. You understand what I'm saying, though? See, it's submission, it's compromise, and everybody's not willing to do that. Okay? So when you look at change, you have to look at if you stay in line with that same thinking, you will never give credit where credit is due, where a person has grown, where a person has brought about this change within their lives through whatever means they have taken. So you will never think that can work for you. You will always stay just that way. And people say that all the time. That's just the way I am. That's the way I always been. Because they won't change their thinking. But then I have an aunt who I called and, she pretty much raised me as a child. I looked at her as my other mother. And she said to me, I did. It's like, I'm going to do it again. But, I had She said, you know what she said to me? She said, baby, you just keep on trying. Real simple. A different conditioning. A different conditioning, right? Doesn't think the way that other person thinks. And because we get around other people and other people don't think the way we do, we reject the idea that they could help us. And we gravitate towards those who we think are part of our culture, part of our ummah, part of our fellowship. We gravitate towards them because we believe that, okay, well, you and I practice the same thing, so it doesn't mean anything because we practice the same thing. I'm not learning the same in the same methods that you are. Because I'm sitting in front of the same person means absolutely nothing. Everything I'm learning is coming through my filters. And then later you blame somebody else for why your condition is the way it is. You're regurgitating the words of others. You're regurgitating somebody else's practices. You can't live the way I do. You can't think the way I do. You can't possibly be me. So how can you think that I should be living like you? That's why you have to study and research for yourself. You have to look at you. Everything about us has been shaped and molded by somebody else's thought of us, by narratives that are on in media. Everything. So the article, Five Essential Healthy Habits for a Healthier Life. The article is written by Sean Grover, LCSW. Psychology Today is where this article is. Lasting happiness requires effort, dedication, and practice. Key points from this article. Healthy habits include tasks that you can practice daily to make your happiness stronger and more durable. While transient happiness is excellent fun, happy habits deliver more sustainable long term benefits. Happy producing habits include practicing gratitude, cultivating quality friendships, and acts of service. And that last one is key for me because that's pretty much what I do. Hey, girl, mom, that's pretty much what I like to practice doing is random acts of kindness. I'm grateful every day. I'm grateful for any and everything I have, any and everything I don't have. If I ain't got it, I ain't mad about it, right? But you have people who that's all their focus is on, and that's why they're so angry and unhappy because they don't have these certain things, right? Because they don't have enough, because they want more, and they think some damn body else should be giving them more. They think somebody else is responsible for providing them with what it is they think they need for them to be happy. And all I'll say to that is FOH, because it ain't gonna happen. You stay miserable. So there are different kinds of happiness. To further complicate matters to the article, there are different types of happiness. As a psychotherapist, I'm always considering two significant forms of happiness: transient happiness, that exciting burst of pleasure that flares up but fades quickly. We talked about that with the ice cream, with the sex, feeling good, and then bam, it's gone. Uh, think vacations, holidays, parties, or gifts, or sustainable happiness, the kind of daily happiness that's long lasting and enduring, built on your identity, relationship, self esteem, or unique talents. And I talked about that early on in the show. Having those things that gave you that momentary euphoria, and that sometimes when it fades, people fall into these depressions. Even when you go on vacations, you think you're going on vacation, you can't wait to get on vacation, and then you really abuse the vacation because you're expecting to get something out of that vacation that doesn't come out of the vacation. So you actually missed the the joy because you had expectations. And when you come back from the vacation, that's all you do is talk about the things that didn't happen, the things that went wrong. You didn't even have the vacation. You didn't even have the vacation because you didn't enter into it happily. You stress yourself out packing all this stuff up. You stress yourself out with all the money you spent on the vacation itself, and all these other things. You took all those things on vacation with you. But I see so many people do it when they come back from vacation. All they talk about is, the things that went wrong, all the chaos that happened. They don't talk about the joy and stay focused on the joy. So it's not the vacation that's really going to make the difference for you, is it? Because it didn't make a difference. It didn't make a difference. You acted the same darn way. It didn't make any difference. And now you need another vacation. From the vacation, you just took what you were supposed to relieve all of that stuff. And it says here, you need sustainable happiness, the kind of daily happiness that's long lasting and enduring, built on your identity, relationships, self esteem, or unique talents. Right? All of these things are things that, unbeknownst to me, are the things that I focus on for sustainable happiness because nothing, right, is permanent outside of me. Everything is temporary. My significant other is temporary. That's alone by God's grace and mercy, by His blessing, I have that person in my life. I do not rely upon that person for my sustainable happiness. This is important to understand. This is why so many souls die when their significant others pass, especially if they've been together for a long time. It's an emptiness. It's an emptiness. So you have to have this sustainable happiness. Who are the people around you? Right? What do you do for yourself? Do you exercise? Do you meditate? Do you separate yourself from the pack and regroup and get your spirit back in alignment, to keep your spirit in alignment? Taking a few minutes every day to sit, on the patio in the morning. That's what I like to do. I sit on the patio in the morning and it's quiet and I just talk to God. Either I'm talking to Him out of my mouth or I'm talking to Him from here, from the spirit. Right? I don't have a whole lot of people in my life, so I don't have these relationships that are burdensome. And for those that, I find to be as such, I move away from them. I just begin to gravitate away from them. I just create distance between me and them. So the times that we do cross paths, it's always going to be cordial. It's always going to be a sincere, heartfelt greeting to them because I have taken control of that boundary between me and that person. I don't allow that person to enter my space and destroy my space, disturb my space, interrupt my space. I don't do that. My self esteem, like I look at myself, no, I'm not pleased with every aspect of self, but I'm pleased with being a self. I'm pleased with still being a work in progress. I'm pleased with, how at 63, I don't look like I thought I would look at 63, old, decrepit, and unable to take care of myself and my family. Have the so-called Methuselah image in my mind of myself. And then the last one on there says unique talent. Y'all see what I do. It's a whole lot of things that I do. It's a whole lot more things that I'm doing. Right? So while transient happiness, back to the article, is excellent fun, sustainable happiness delivers more long-term benefits. First one here on the list, cultivating happiness habits. Here's the rude truth. Sustainable happiness requires work, lots of it. Like any skill, it takes effort, dedication, and practice. The best ways to start is by focusing on happy habits you can practice daily to make your happiness stronger and more durable. Right? The next one, essential happy habits. Regardless of your lifestyle, habits shape your way of being. Certain habits promote happiness, while others promote misery. Yeah. So you may have issues with your weight, but how much pressure do you put on yourself because you want to be buffer, you want to be thinner, you want to be, this, you want to be that, you want to be all these things, and how much effort are you putting behind it, and how much pressure and struggle do you really put upon yourself, and are you really happy? And if you begin to do it and you fall off, you've added another layer of misery to yourself because now you feel like you have failed, and failure only means finding what doesn't work, but you feel like you have failed at the attempt, and then you continue to go down that rabbit hole of, misery. So that's one of those things. That's not sustainable happiness. That's not sustainable happiness, right? That's, sustainable happiness means whatever my weight is, I'm going to be okay with that. Whatever my six pack looks like, if it looks like a keg and two cans, that's fine. I'm okay with that. You understand what I'm saying? See, that's sustainable happiness. Being okay with what you have and not looking around at others and comparing yourself to others, or believing and thinking what others are thinking about you and how you look and how you should look and this, that, and the other. Hey, listen, I don't need you to validate how I look. I don't need your compliment. Oh yeah, well, you look good for your age. I know. And then I'm considered to be arrogant if I say such. But I know I ain't did too bad for a 63-year-old person who's gone through all that I've been through and have the appearance that I still have by God's grace and mercy. Right? That's sustainable. It's sustainable to think that way. That's why you have positive affirmations that you should be having around you, in your car, in your home, in your mind, in your workplace. And if you have a desk, put positive affirmations around you. You know, uh, buy one of our coffee mugs, or tumblers, and with positive affirmations on it, sit it on your desk while you're at work. You ain't got to put the coffee in it. Just sit it there in front of you. It's a positive affirmation, right? It's a positive affirmation for me because I'm honored that you even bought it and put it on your desk, right? Positive affirmations, right? So the first thing under essential happy habits is gratitude. Cultivating a sense of gratitude is essential to lasting happiness. No matter your situation, you can find something to be grateful for. You can find something to be grateful for. For example, I have a friend who is in critical condition. His doctors recommended hospice. You know what? Let me not even read this one. Let me use this because this example brings to mind my friend. My friend, his son had gotten real sick. And they pretty much, the doctors, pretty much were counting him out. Numbering his days, you know. And he sent me a picture a couple of weeks ago. I know his son had, been sick, and I know his son had came out the hospital. But he sent me the picture. And when I looked at the picture, it was a picture of two people, which it was actually the same person. When I looked at the picture, I said, wow. I looked at the first picture, and this person looked very aged and disheveled, and just looked really, 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 really bad, in a bad way. And I thought it was, somebody that he and I, had in common, that had maybe, went out to use it. This person looked really, really just like so aged, and then the other picture was of this fresh, glowing face, and you know, uh, bright eyes and everything. And he was like, I was like, so like, who is this? And he says, Samir, that's Lawrence. That's my son. And I was just floored. His son had been in a coma for several days, and the coma had just like transformed transformed him. He had just aged so much. And then in the matter of time, you see this young man who is, black back, black too, full, just like full of life. And him and I just talked about it. It's like that ain't nothing but God, man. I know the hell that I've been through. Hell, right here on earth. It's not some spooky mystical place. Hell. Him and I both been through it. We've been through hell. So we're grateful for what we have. I'm grateful to have had a mother, who, took care of me, my sister, and herself on a little bit of money that she was making. She kept the home warm. She kept the home cool. She kept the television. She kept the stereo. She kept food in the refrigerator. She kept the home looking nice. She kept us looking nice, right? We didn't complain about what it is that we had to eat. We ate. Either you eat this or you don't eat. But that's gratitude. I'm grateful for everything that's happened in my life, right? And I always say to people when, well, not always, most of the time, my greeting, to people, it's like, when they say, hey, how you doing? They're like, hey, another day above ground. I'm grateful. I'm grateful. We have a lot of ungrateful people walking around. I don't make enough money. I don't have this and I don't have that. They don't do nothing for the black community. All these kind of negative affirmations, that you tell yourself over and over again. Well, I've been stuck at this job for all. No, you've been stuck for a reason. But how about the fact that you have a job? Ask the person who's unemployed if they would like to trade places with you, and you trade places with them. You become homeless and let them take your job, right? You complain, 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 complain. You got a person out there, you wearing $450 sneaks, Air Force and One and all this other crazy stuff. Yeah, but there's a person on the street. Not only does he have nothing to wear on his feet, he has no feet, right? You're just not grateful, just complaining about everything. That's why you're unhappy, and you make everybody around you unhappy because you're miserable, because you lack gratitude. What you complain about, somebody else will love to have, right? Just complain and complain and complain. Never satisfied with anything. Never satisfied. Here, his son they counted his son out. They counted his son out. He didn't. He went to see his son every day. He talked to his son every day while his son was in the coma. He prayed. He was grateful. He's still grateful. Got a lot of ungrateful people running around, thinking people should do things for them. You do for yourself. Being disrespectful to their parents, being disrespectful to senior members of the community, being just blatantly disrespectful because you have no gratitude. Think somebody should do it for you. Oh, I'm not just talking about kids. I'm talking about adults. I'm talking about adults. Yeah, see, when you start lining them up like that, you think we're talking about kids. No, adults. You have adults who don't have any respect for their parents. Where would you? I'm gonna leave that one alone. Number 2, acts of service. Right, we're talking about things, that sustain happiness. Right, acts of service always give you a boost of happiness. Obsessing about your problems, ruminating on your shortcomings, comparing yourself to others. Such choices inevitably undermine happiness. Helping others reminds you that there are plenty of people less fortunate than you. It also gives you the added benefit of cultivating kindness. I don't want nobody else's music to pop onto the set because then I get blocked and get a copyright hit, and I don't need all of that going on. All right. Helping others reminds you that there are plenty of people less fortunate than you. It also gives you the added benefit of cultivating kindness and compassion, which are crucial to sustainable happiness. Like we we should be looking at others who are less fortunate, in whatever area, even if it's in knowledge. If like I know, I've met a lot of guys in the institutions who struggle with reading, struggle with writing, you know, but they overcompensate in the area of aggression, right? Because they know how to talk, they present themselves in that capacity, right? But they don't know how to read, they don't know how to write. So I approach, the situation where like I'm cognizant of that, right? You see, a lot of times we approach situations and we're not trying to be cognizant of that person's circumstance. We're just making the assumption that a person knows how to read, a person knows how to write. You know, I was talking to my uncle Frank, about a month ago, and he was telling me that he never learned how to read and write. You would never know that. You would never know that. You would never know that, right? So that's a consciousness that we have to have for other people. But when we have this cockiness and this arrogance about us, where we're not trying to understand somebody else's circumstance, we can't help somebody else. You know, if you have somebody who doesn't know how to maintain themselves, well, instead of downing them because they don't know how to maintain themselves, help them. Set an example for them. Find a way to uh, uh, manipulate the situation so the person doesn't feel offended or feel guilt or shame or embarrassed because you've observed the thing about them, and you just want to introduce them to particular things. We don't do it that way. We want to humiliate and embarrass somebody because we know how to do a particular thing, but then when we find something that we can't do, right, we don't want to put that out there. But when somebody exposes it, now you're offended, but you just offended somebody else and belittled them and degraded them because they don't know how to do a particular thing, because maybe they never learned, right? But because who taught you, because you didn't come to just know it. Somebody else taught you. Somebody else showed you, right? But you should always be thinking of what you can do for somebody else, because when you help others, you're helping yourself. See, that's what grateful people do. Grateful people don't have a problem extending themselves to somebody else. They don't have a problem helping somebody else. But when you help somebody else, when you're doing an act of a service, right? You're doing it without judgment. You're doing it without arrogance. You're doing it without, let me go tell them what I just did. So you do something for somebody. You give somebody $5 standing out in front of 7-Eleven. You don't go back and tell somebody, I just gave dude out there $5 in front of 7-Eleven because he looked like he was doing bad. No, now you just took away the blessing because you're so arrogant that you can't accept the fact that this person is in this dilemma for whatever reason, and your responsibility was to just help them. You want everybody to know you help them. That's arrogance. You don't get a blessing for that, and that's void of gratitude. It's void of gratitude. I don't need to tell somebody what I'm doing for others. It's like you have this whole big thing with Cat Williams, that everybody's talking about how generous of a person Cat Williams is. How Cat Williams helped a lot of people out along the way. Just like, don't ask for nothing, that like he's just giving people money. He's just stepped in and helped out and keep on moving, right? You don't have to tell, and we don't need you to go telling other people, because what happens is you got predators out there who now they want to, and then the judgment comes. Oh, he never helped me. See how this works? Oh, I've been around Cat for a while. He ain't never peeled off nothing for me and my family. What? So acts of service. You don't tell somebody about it. It's a blessing in you being able to do it. And you use that blessing correctly. Number 3, self-care. Self-care is any activity that enriches your life, lowers stress, and refreshes you. Exercise, gardening, long walks, podcasts, music video, music production, artwork, entrepreneurial stuff. That's why I keep myself busy. I keep myself doing things because I'm taking care of myself. This is not work, And it's funny. I used to have a family member by marriage, who was asking, what was happening, what's going on, and so. Yeah, I'm doing good. Working on some new projects and stuff like that. Got some other things going on. But you always working. You got to stop working sometime. That's not work. That's not work. That's self care. While you sit around every day in front of a television smoking cigarettes, and that's all you do with your life, go out of the house and go sit on the patio in a chair. That's the extent of your life. That's not taking care of yourself. And then you wonder why you have so many ailments. You have so many ailments. You're allowing your body just to deteriorate. No, that doesn't make sense. That's not work. What I do, this is not work. This is joy. This is part of my self-care. This is part of my act of service. This is my gratitude. That's what this is right here. This is what Daddy's right here is about. This is my joy. When I'm not doing Daddy's right here, when my show falls off for a minute, I'm usually doing something else. I'm usually on another project or something like that. But don't think for a minute, I don't feel the absence. I feel the absence. But I don't want to overwhelm myself because I understand that too, because that's part of self-care. You don't increase your stress. There's sometimes things that can't be done. Like I didn't stress about this, the difficulties I was having this morning getting logged in. I was concerned, but what I did was I stepped away from the computer, restarted the computer, went downstairs, put the coffee on, broke away for a minute because sometimes you got to break away. When you keep pushing, that's when mistakes happen. That's when you can't figure stuff out. Like I got to figure out these DPIs on this artwork so I can get it loaded up into the system and start bringing in some paper. But whatever it is, that it means taking time out for your mental well-being. That's my mental well-being. I am a thinker. I constantly think. So I have to do things that set the boundaries. Okay. You have racing thoughts because that's what you do. Let's focus on this. So it allows me to focus just on this. For instance, right now, I'm not focused on other things. I'm focusing on this subject matter. I'm focusing on this show. I'm focusing on ensuring that I'm giving you the saturated version of this and not some superficial version. I'm giving you something to think about. I'm giving you something that you can chew on. I want you to be able to make the connection with what it is that I'm saying in your personal life right now, as opposed to just reading through this stuff. Listen, no. Make the connection. I'm not giving you anything superficial. Right? Number 4, friendship. The sad reality of getting older is that people grow apart and lose touch. Well, this didn't happen when I grew older. I've always been like growing apart from people. But cultivating quality friendship is essential to your happiness. It is a resource that will never let you down. When you spend time with a good friend, you leave lighter, refreshed, and inspired. Loneliness undermines happiness. Friendships fortify it. So let's be clear on this. For me, my friendship is my wife. When you nurture that relationship, that's your ace boon coon. That's your homie. That's your ride or die. Right? Your lover, your friend. Right? That's what is supposed to be happening. The problem is many of us want to hold on to these so-called friendships, these relationships. And I'm not talking about anything infidelity, anything like that. I'm talking about you are creating within yourself conflict because you are expecting different things from different people. When if we got, listen, this is why God gave Adam a helper, and we have lost sight of that. I don't know what his condition was when he was in the place that he was, but God saw that he needed a partner. He gave him one person. He didn't say, here go 4 or 5 people you can chill and hang out with. He gave Adam one person. This is your helper right here. This is your go-to right here. We have all these other people in our lives, and we're wondering why we don't have a solid foundation. I'm not saying that you can't have others. I'm saying to you that if you want to have success, that your circle has to be small. Your circle must be small. It can fit in your hand. That's how big my circle is. I have associates outside of that. But your circle need not be large. And if your circle entails people who are not motivating, encouraging, supportive, caring, healthy themselves, then you need to take a look at why they're even in that circle. But that should be you and your woman, you and your man. That's what it shouldn't be somebody else you're going to when you have a difficulty in relationship other than the person you're in the relationship with. Why are you going to them? They can't help you for real. They can give you some good information. But you should be learning to utilize your partner. You know, that fine fabric, that garment that you wear. You should be treating it as such. Right? You should never be lonely. It should never be a time that you're in a relationship with someone and you feel lonely. You can fix that. But I'm saying that when you're nurturing this sustainable happiness, right? You know the person is there. The only reason that you would think that the person's not going to be there is if you have some unresolved within yourself. So again, you have to fix that. If I've given you no indication that I'm rolling, why are you taking yourself through that? But then you abandon the relationship for friendships and say, well, him and I, or me and her always been friends. We've been friends for years. Okay. But right now it's me and you. You can go out and get with your friends every now and then. There's nothing wrong with that. But the foundation of a successful relationship is based on me and you beginning to rely upon each other. But you begin to grow apart. And it's not as you get older. It's as time goes on. You begin to grow apart because you haven't formed that relationship together. So no matter what comes, no matter what storm comes, y'all won't be able to sustain. But you have quality friendship. Quality friendship is not just, yo, me and him smoke weed. So that's the basis of our friendship. Is that a friendship? You start finding out a lot about people as time goes on. A lot. But you and your significant other are supposed to be it. That's where the happiness lies. Other people, that's great. That's wonderful that you've known these people for years, right? When we cross paths, we'll bust it up for a bit, past the cordials. We always got stuff to talk about. But after that, I'm going back home to her. That's who I'm coming to when I'm feeling down and lonely and sad and stressed, and I'm going to her. So if I'm going to her when I'm feeling that way, right? Why am I going to somebody else when I'm feeling some kind of way about her? It don't make sense. I should be going to her and saying, hey, this is how I'm feeling. That ain't that. Listen, friends will destroy your relationship, will destroy your marriage quicker than a in-law. Everybody keep talking about the in-laws. I love my in-laws, but I'm just saying that your friends are more destructive because they have more influence in most cases upon you when you're thinking about the other person. Oh, girl, let me tell you what. Sequisha said she saw your man give that girl a hug in the parking lot. Yeah, like what? What are you talking about? Oh, yeah, yeah. This, but why? And this is what happens. This is what people do, right? Right, girl, mom. The last one on here, creativity. Bottom line, consuming media breeds depression. Listen to. Let me say this one more time for the people in the front row who did not hear. Consuming media breeds depression. Take time to unplug from your screens and do something creative. Paint, take photos, write, dance. It doesn't matter what the task is. Creativity is the gift you give to yourself. Find a way to be creative, and you're taking a step toward greater happiness in your daily life. In all my relationships, that's one of the things that I've always encouraged. Take up a hobby or something. Don't just be sitting around the crib looking at me, waiting for me to stop doing what I'm doing to fill your emptiness. That's not my role. That's not my responsibility. Your emptiness should be non existent. If you're doing these things that are on this list, right? These 5 things, and that's why the article is titled 5 Essential Healthy Habits for a Happier Life. If you're seeking to be happier, leave me the hell alone. For real. You got to leave your partner alone sometimes. You got to stop sitting back just waiting for them to stop doing such and such so you can feel joy. Sometimes, sometimes you got to step in. You got to walk naked out in front of them because you got needs too. I get that. But when every day of your life is spent with you sitting and waiting for them to stop doing something that they enjoy doing that is for their own sustainable happiness, right? Because that's what this is, sustainable happiness. I'm happy as a result of those things, right? This is what makes me happy. And then your debate is, well, what about what makes me happy? Well, we can talk about that, but you can't take away mine. And we have a lot of relationships that exist that way today because the other person thinks that the other person is responsible for their happiness. I am not responsible for your happiness. I should be an addition to your happiness, to your joy. I should not be your happiness. If I am your happiness, then it's not going to last long because it's just a matter of time before you get tired of me. Because that's all it's been. It's been about me making you happy. It's not been about you being happy on your own, independent of me, and just sharing that happiness with me and me sharing my happiness with you and us having happy moments. Right? You depend solely on me for your happiness. That's why relationships fail in record numbers. You stop going shopping every weekend, it's a problem. You stop having sex every weekend, it's a problem. You stop going out to dinner every week, it's a problem. You're not happy anymore because that's what you used to do. Well, honey, you're in the wrong relationship. For real. You got to look at those things, man. because that's what a lot of people are doing right now. You know, oh, used to do this when we first met. You used to do that, and okay. And what do you see me doing when I'm not doing that? Since we used to do that, what have I been doing? What have I been doing? Well, you be doing the videos, and you be doing the music. Ain't like you gonna be no Eminem. You ain't gonna make no money off of that. So you need to go out there and get a real job. That's an over dramatization, but I'm just simply saying that's the attitude. That's the attitude, you know. And then you start going hanging out with your friends more often than because you're dissatisfied at home because of the position that you taking with the expectation of your partner. Now you start hanging with your friends. Your friends have other friends. You and your friends start doing stuff, right? And your friends, you know, start doing stuff, and your friends keep that a secret, right? Because you telling them you ain't happy at home. So now they know you ain't happy at home. They ain't happy either. Matter of fact, their bed is empty every night. They in somebody else's, right? So now they're encouraging you to do the same. You want to be happy. I'm happy, girl. You see how this goes? That's why your significant other, your wife, is supposed to be your best friend. Stop looking outside of there. So when women have issues with why, men have female friends, that's why. That's why. And vice versa. Right? Yeah, I can have a friend. I can have a female friend. It's not saying you can't have other gender friends. Well, see, it don't really matter because same genders want you too. So it don't matter. You know who you're a friend with. Y'all so busy worrying about dude. Y'all you better worry about the girl. And vice versa. Vice versa. And that's always been the case. Ain't nothing new with none of that. But I'm just saying the things that you're worrying about, like you're worrying about the wrong thing in many cases. Right? I'm good. But I'm just saying that's the trickle down theory. That's how things happen, you know, because you're not happy and you want that other person to be the joy and happiness for you. And then you go up into the terror dome and start telling yourself all kinds of negative affirmations. And before you know it, you done messed up. You done messed up. The best thing that ever happened to you in your life, you done messed up. There's no coming back from that. Period. I know I don't want no parts of you. You go that way, you got to go. I'm done with you. Talk about what? You made a mistake? You did. Yeah, you did. Pray about it. Get some healing. See a counselor. But you won't see me because there's no need for it. Right? If that's what you want to do, just move along. But don't become unhappy because the other person is not giving you what you think you should have. But they're doing everything else for you, but you're just not happy. You're not grateful for that person. You rather have somebody beating your ass, yelling and screaming at you, disrespecting you. I can tell you there are a whole lot of relationships out there like that. There's a whole lot of women that I've seen, or in those kind of situations. But you scoffed at the idea of, hooking up with me. I'm a good dude. I'm the best man you'll ever meet in your life. You blew that. That's on you. So you keep on being with the dude who's at there hitting every Mary Jane and Sue every opportunity he gets in your bed too. Yeah, yeah. It's a whole nother discussion. Change, it ain't in your pocket, right? Put change in your pocket, it's going to eventually fall out. That pocket line is going to start, deteriorating. The thread's going to start falling through. That change is going to be on the ground, and you're going to still be in the same condition, the same position that you were then and now and later. It's up to you. It's entirely up to you. But for me, it all begins with gratitude. I'm thankful. Yeah, I'm thankful. My eyes are watering. Remember, y'all can see a little water. Yeah. Hey, listen, I cry inside too and outside. I'm grateful, man. I look at certain situations, man, I cry in the middle. I'm thankful, man. I know where I come from. It ain't went nowhere. It's still there. I just don't rely upon that dude no more. He's there. Out of his damn mind. Just wait. He shakes the cage every now and then. So if you think Satan is outside of you, you better think again. Think again. Think again. But anywho, we are at the hour. I thank you. And as always, I say this, that you can be doing anything else on a Saturday morning other than sitting here listening to me. I appreciate it. I'm thankful for it. I may never meet those of you who have watched these shows, but just know that I appreciate the 30 seconds, the 3 minutes, the 3 hours, the 3 years, whatever it may have been, that I have been able to connect with you, via this show. And hopefully the information that you've gotten, you were able to either use for yourself or share it with somebody else. But I appreciate those kind of things, man. It's the value, it's the quality, of the viewers that's more important to me than how many likes and stuff like that. No, everybody's not going to like it because first of all, by the time you get done watching it, you probably hate the hell out of me because I put it out that way. Yes, and that's okay. It probably broke up some marriages, that needed to be broke the hell up. But anyway, I have a great life, man. I don't have any complaints, But y'all have a great month. I'm your host as always, Sabir Aline, and yep, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Beautiful, beautiful day.
Impressive, good in our military training. But not great, but right to the brain. Incendiary words, thought-provoking. It ain't what you do. These words got you choked. Hard for you to swallow. No, you've been misled. All up in your feelings. Feed a full of brain. Philly bred, P on the cap, cause I'm a Philly head. Talking tough on the net, but they really scared. They move keys in the trap, but they really fed. That's his way in the rap, I leave him really dead. He was paper chasing, just wearing stats for the laces, whipping popping gold 40s and gold bottles and aces. Fuck a racist, cause I choke out a cracker into the fragrance of his blood. Share the stuff with Damon like I was gay, when ain't never trusting the cops. They popping the population, they can't trust in the choppers, cause they failing their patience. Got us running out of patience, can't trust in the vaccination. American journalism, media, mind, and rhyme for real with the move bombing. That's like an abomination. The wonder why black people don't care if they conversation. The time is wasted. We need to fight back. Put the system to sleep like a nightcap. Flow like blood, sweat, tears. Urine and spit. Premium price tag. I'm sure my fit. No room to hate. Y'all shine, I illuminate. When I'm done in the booth, you gotta fumigate. Can't rise if you never took a fall. Goes down where I'm from. Like a hooker's drawers. They say my style too abrasive. The rubber on your skin, I came to give everything a facelift. If the brothers meet, will turn the other cheek. I'm through soon with a suspicion, so assume the position. Speak no Spanish, that's Bob Amigo, but you're all welcome to talk to my heart to ego. You can't afford disaster, yo, my sword is faster. And I did the knowledge, I serve Lord and Master. Hit the point like a thumbtack. You got no comebacks. I'm murder on the drum track. My debut sees projects undrilling. One killing, sun chilling. The great, I'm unwilling. Flawless flow, less time you guys check. Not even a fly spec. Top notch prospect. S-A-B-R-R and all that right works apart. With my throat, blind eagle on the head. Gorilla undercover intellect got facts. Don't get it twisted, my gun is sophisticated. You wanna see me? Information listed, Wilson, Bone and Wicked. Family Sheriffs is where they get. Up in the morning, connect with the crew, running on my books, cloud, putting the glue. On the streets, start shining, never school, the hard knocks skin thick as leather. Learn the ropes to how to play the game. Life streets so lame. Paper chase out of touch with the family. Street life, there's no reality.
Running game, mother not proud of me. High school dropout turned out to be changed my life.
Young boy.
Heard words from the nation, now a servant to Allah. Not his creations, study Quran, stood upright. Yeah, don't stop lurking in the shadows, start walking in the light. Yeah. Remember my name, say it loud and clear. Attribute of Allah, I'm called Spear. You're listening to Philly Bread. I was done with my brother, Check Knowledge G, aka Levis Harris, Ka Ahmad, aka Young Lil,